So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Pomegranate podcast. Been a rough few days being an Aston Villa fan, but as I said in my Twitter post, turn the page on it. There's no point dwelling on it. We got to move on, and we got to look forward towards the rest of the season, and we got to look forward, I suppose, as well to what the club is going to do in the rest of the transfer market. Obviously, we got the bad news today that Tyrone Mings is going to be out for the rest of the season. I think it was known when he went down, when he was clutching the ground, he was clutching at his knee, that things weren't going to be good. But the club will mobilise, the club will work. I wish him all the best in his return to playing again. I hope that from a mental point of view, he gets all the support that he needs, as well as a physical point of view. And we will have our leader back, hopefully as fast as is physically and is medically possible for him to come back and to regain his place within the team. But in the meantime, Unai Emery, Monchi, Johan Lange, and the rest of the group will have a job to do, because he will need to be replaced. I'm going to do a podcast looking at maybe a couple of players or a couple of ways to replace him tomorrow. I just didn't want to rush it and do it tonight. And when this link came up about Marcus Acuna, potentially this could be the way that Aston Villa are looking at, potentially replacing him or maybe shifting the focus, I suppose, of where we want to go within the team, or we want to divert our funds or the cash available. And the reason being is because Marcus Acuña is very he's very versatile. Yeah, he's no spring chicken. He's going to be 32 in October, but he's very versatile. He's like, everybody knows he's a World Cup winner. He started, I think it was 5 games, and came out as a sub in the final. Came out as a sub in the first game. I'm going to look at a lot of his statistics as well. I don't have them on a page, but I'm going to speak about a lot of his statistics in the World Cup, and why Lionel Scaloni favoured him over Tagliafico, and I suppose why he wanted him in there when they were making their run towards the final, and ultimately on to win, to lift the cup. I think it's important to look at that. I think it's important to look at for somebody like this. I think it's important to look at international football for them, because they're an older statesman. They're going to be coming into a team whereby the season has already started, and essentially for the first 6 to 10 to 12 games that they're playing, they're going to be playing a reduced. They're going to be playing with like a reduced role, a reduced game plan, if that makes sense. I don't know, is that making sense? Because essentially they're going to be coming in to try and play with new set of players and a new system and a new team, and they're going to have, I suppose, a kind of a watered down playbook essentially. Alex Moreno had it last time, and we are going to, and I would imagine if we do sign somebody like Marcus Acuña, that we would have that too. And this guy is well capable of it. Like, you just have to look at his picture at the very start. Look at his picture there. He looks like a bulldog. Like, this guy is somebody who's had to work for every single opportunity he's had. He's had to claw his way up through the his career. Starting off, he started off as an 18-year-old. Let me just bring it up there, because I don't remember the name of the team off the top of my head. It was Ferro Carril West was the team he started off with in 2010. He played 117 games for them. Started off as an 18-year-old, and then went on to Racing Club in Argentina, playing 78 games, scoring 16 goals for them. We had his move to Sporting in 2017 as a 25-year-old, and then on to Sevilla afterwards as well. He's as I said, like you're not going to bully him. You're not going to. how do I say this without stereotyping South American defenders? Remember when I spoke about it? For those of you who listen to the podcast, remember I spoke about Guido Rodriguez, another Argentinian World Cup winner. I said that Guido Rodriguez would smile at you while he's kicking you up the arse, and this guy would do the same. He's a fighter. He's, as I said, bulldog. Actually, is how you would probably describe him. He's no nonsense. He's adept in both phases of the play, whether it be going forward or backwards. And I would like, if we are going to play this inverted fullback situation. And when I say, like, a lot of people talk about the inverted fullback, and they say, well, the inverted fullback is somebody who pulls in and makes it a 3 when we're going forward. That isn't really an inverted fullback. The inverted fullback comes into midfield, and it comes in and plays that Emerson Royale role they played yesterday. And I think from the left-hand side, this guy could do that. In fact, he has done it for Argentina. And what he can do is he gives you that opportunity to come into midfield, because he's played at left midfield. He's played at left back. And realistically, he's kind of gone solely to left back since he moved to Sevilla. Before that, he was kind of played left wing, a wide midfielder, left back, anywhere up and down that left-hand side. And I'm sure you've seen heat maps of him. I'm sure you've seen other podcasts do their reports on him. And I want to try and go a small bit more in depth in it, because that he is not somebody who lacks for having a motor and for having endeavor and an engine to be able to get up and down that wing. He goes end line to end line. This guy goes end line to end line, and there might be stages where he absolutely empties the tank on the field. But wouldn't you prefer to have somebody who empties the tank and comes off the field and could still do another 5 or 10K? And with the fact that we would have a left back in Alex Moreno that went in there that maybe could play a small bit further forward, potentially we could be looking at here is maybe Alex Moreno goes a small bit further forward, Acuna plays behind him. It solidifies that left-hand side, and it gives us more options then in that right-hand side of the field as well, to allow us maybe Diaby, Bailey, and I'm mentioning names here. Please don't get into the comments and start saying X player is shit, X player is bad, I want this player sold. That's not what this podcast is for. That's what the post matches are for. Trying to game plan here and see what potentially could be happening, because like it or not, we're not going to sell. I would be very surprised if we sell anybody that started at the weekend. I would be surprised if we sell anybody that was in the potentially even in the first 16 or the first 21 at the weekend. I would be very surprised if we sell those willfully at this moment in time. So we're going to be adding to the pool that we have, and it may result in us like we did this in January. We bought a left back and everybody scratched their head and went, "That's not a striker. That's not an attacking midfielder. That's not a winger. What are we doing buying a left back?" All of a sudden, Unai Emery changed his tactics slightly, brought in that left back, and we were all singing his praises afterwards. Wait till you see his statistics, though. Wait until you see Alex Moreno's statistics. He was really effective in our team. Really effective in our team. But we will look at those in a moment. And what I'm saying there is that there's different ways to win in the Premier League. There's different ways to tweak or implement tactics. It doesn't have to be like we've all watched that coach's mastermind of Unai Emery, where he sat down and he explained what he wanted to do. We've all seen the articles about Unai Emery. Yes, he's going to play that right back like one fight who's going to come in. I've done a podcast previously saying he's only ever really had that type of defender in one fight at Villarreal. Prior to that, he's had wingers, or he's had fullbacks who could go forward and could come back, could come into midfield in that inverted midfielder role. He had Dani Alves, for God's sake. He had Dani Alves. He had Koke. He had Thomas Meunier. All these players are not one fight. He's had those before. He's able to adapt. He's able to adjust. Thank God he's able to do that, because we've had lots of managers previously. We've had Paul Lamberts. We've had Tactics Feckin' Tim. We've had Roberto Di Matteo's. These guys who got lucky and couldn't replicate it. Unai Emery will be able to sort this out. And if it is by signing Marcus Acuña or another left back or somebody that's out of left field and has us all going, how the hell is this going to work? Think back to January. It transformed our season and it changed things around. Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there. I went in a bit of a rant there because I'm seeing an awful lot of retrospective conversation about people going, "Oh, that backline was a load of shite when it started." How can anybody say that when we had when it was essentially a backline we would have put out last year, and people saying, "Oh, I was worried about that backline." How the hell could anybody have been worried about that backline? It was a backline that we put out all the time last year. Rant over. Anyway, Marcus Acuna. Let's talk a little bit about him. Yeah, as I said, like he's 30. He's going to be 32 years of age. But what I want from him is leadership. What I want from him is a bit of steel, and he is. He's a completely different player than anyone we have. Completely different player. When you look, if you look, as I said, statistically, if we look at him in the World Cup last year, so he was asked to defend because they had Angel Di Maria in front of him. So he needed to stay back, he needed to mind the house, and he needed to defend. But he was very, very good in the overlap. He excelled really. His defensive ability was actually pretty pivotal to Daniel Scaloni. In the build up to the final, he did change. I think they did go with Tagliafico in the final as well. But his build up was absolutely brilliant. Throughout the course of the tournament. He's very disciplined from the point of view of his positioning. You know, whether he's played that small bit further forward, whether he plays in that flat back four, whether they stagger the back four, he's actually quite good in disciplined positioning. Something I gave out massively about when looking at that game at the weekend. I thought our defensive positioning, our positioning in general, our back four actually kept a pretty decent line, but our midfield positioning I thought was very, very poor, and I still can't put my finger on it. But he does show some good positioning, and the reason I bring that up is if Unai Emery does start playing with an inverted fullback, which he may very well do, you know, bringing him into midfield will offer that small bit more steel, as I said before, but also he's really good at blocking lanes, and it naturally comes to him as well. He doesn't allow people to get past him. Like if somebody runs at him, he stops them, and 9 times out of 10 he does it fairly as well. In the World Cup, he made an average of 6. He had an average of 6 defensive duels per game, and he won 63.33% of all of those. So 4 out of every 6 duels he won, which is quite good. Let's be honest with ourselves, that is quite good as well. He had an average of 3.4 interceptions per game as well. So it just goes to show that he can read the game, able to make timely interceptions, and you know. That's really something that international football is quite important. And once again, why am I talking about international football? For you, those of you who are late to the party, the reason I'm talking about this is we will have somebody coming in who won't have had a preseason under Unai Emery or with this team. They will have a watered down spreadsheet, I suppose, really of what they need to do in the first 6 to 8 to 10 weeks, and you know, it will resemble international football from that point of view, because obviously when people go to international football, they've got limited time to work together and implement things. So I think it might be a good thing to look at specifically for a fullback. While Acuña can defend, as I mentioned before, he also offers a significant attacking threat, and he did for Argentina as well. Brilliant ability to overlap. Brilliant ability. As I say, he goes end line to end line. Really, really good in the overlap, provides crosses from absolutely everywhere in the field. All those 3 areas, the Ahmed El Mohamedi area, as I used to call it previously. Then you have the Jack Grealish area, which is at the edge of the box. And then you have the the Alex Moreno area, which is right down the touchline. All those 3 areas he provides crosses from, and good crosses at that. And they were a real key asset for Argentina too, because getting the ball into the box, albeit that they had smaller strikers, they needed to do that to get defenders turned if they couldn't go through midfield. And that's why teams will aimlessly cross the ball. Not aimlessly, that's the wrong word. That's why teams with smaller strikers will still cross the ball in. It's to allow their midfield to get up. Aston Villa tried to do it for under Steven Gerrard, and it was just aimless because our midfield was terrified to break forward at all, and they weren't allowed, so it was completely pointless. But with a team like Argentina and with a team like Unai Emery's Aston Villa, crossing the ball into the box and making the defender clear it and not be 100% where the ball is going to go, and for it to drop to an attacking midfielder is very beneficial. Aston Villa did that quite a lot last season, albeit it was low crosses. We were able to benefit from that. That if defenders missed it, we had people breaking into the box. If defenders got there and got something deflected to the edge of the box, we had people piling in there as well. So that's why I'm mentioning about crossing for this person as well. He attempted a total of 12 dribbles and completed 7 of them in the World Cup as well. And he made an average of 1.59 progressive runs per game. So he's not somebody who will just park himself in defense, is what I'm trying to paint a picture of here. He will go forward. And once again, if it's somebody that, like, his natural ability is to defend, but he also has the penchant for going forward because he's played left wing, he's played left midfield as well. But he will dive into tackles. Like, I think somebody mentioned it there in the comments a moment ago. Was he sent off twice for Sevilla last year? Yeah, I don't know whether he was, but players are going to get sent off in the modern game. For me, it's like there's a lot in it. As I say, you can coach that out of players. I was watching United and Wolves tonight. Lisandro Martinez just went through somebody just for fun. That's the type of player that he is. I don't think Acuña is that rash, but as I say, maybe sometimes you do need a fella to put in a juicy challenge. It doesn't concern me. It doesn't concern me in the slightest. Give him enough protection, and he won't need to make rash last ditch challenges. Will be my view on that. Arguably, Marcus Acuna could have been seen as one of Argentina's top 3 or 4 players in the World Cup, based on his statistics alone. And what, like, in the World Cup, I remember thinking to myself, this guy is really, really good, and he's really good. He was unheralded. He was a workhorse. He was a workmanlike performance, and it was something that I think Lionel Scaloni was, proved to me that he wanted to have a functional team and a team that could go and win the World Cup. And the reason that they did win the World Cup is they had workhorses where they needed them, and he resisted the temptation of just fitting in all the flair everywhere. He brought workhorses with him, and it worked, and they won the World Cup as well. Just wanted to talk a small bit about that. I did have some notes on him there. I know a lot of you guys. I know a lot of you guys are looking for a centre half stuff. We will do how to replace Tyrone Mings podcast in its own standalone right. But let's take a look at some of this guy's statistics here. It's a one slider. That's all I have, and I have him pinned here against the Alex Morenos and Luca Dean. And I think it's stark, really, to be honest with you, to see the work rate that this guy has in a defensive point of view. Also, more crosses than either of the two incumbents there over the last 365 days. Once again, I will say this. No, like, a lot of people go to me, oh my God, I didn't know that this person didn't play as well last season. It's not about playing well or about playing badly. It's about what they were asked to do. And this guy was asked to tackle like a madman, recover the ball, and get forward and get that ball into the box. You can see there at the 6 o'clock position here in the radial. That's shock creating actions for anybody that's wondering. So we can see here, it just goes to show in both positions of play, whether it's going forward or going backwards, he was able to play for Sevilla, and Sevilla went on to win a European Cup last season. He had a very successful season himself. So tackles per 90 up there, 2.28, far outweighs the two incumbents that are there in Moreno and Dina. Interceptions are better than Moreno and Dina. Ball recoveries is night and day difference. He's just far out ahead of them. I actually think I've got that wrong. If you guys will excuse me. I have it up there near the 9 position. It should be back towards the 6 position, but still, he is better than the two guys that are there. Crosses per 90, once again, is cross the ball 6.30 times per 90 minutes, which puts him in the top 7% of all fullbacks in Europe. So if we're looking for somebody to cross the ball accurately, he's the man. And look, it's a very, very rounded skill set, albeit that I've made a mistake here with recoveries. That should be down at the 6 position and not at the 9 position. Rookie error there with that one. But it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. If we are linked to him, we do sign him, you're going to be looking at something about 9-10 million. It's not going to break the bank. He is, I would imagine, like, Sevilla are skint for cash, but I don't think that they're going to be able to play a real hard baller as somebody who's going to be 32 in October. So we'll be interested to see if this one went anywhere. I would imagine if this guy does come in, we would recoup anything that we have on. I would imagine it would say it would be the end for Luca Dean, as opposed like this is for anybody who's coming in late. This isn't somebody who's going to come in and replace Tyrone Mings. That's not what this podcast is about. But I would say if this guy does come in, it could spell the end for Luca Dean. Um, Alternatively, it could be that we hold on to Luca Dean and we push Alex Moreno further forward to replace to jockey with Jacob Ramsey in that position. But that to me doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So for me, if he was to come in, I would imagine Luca Dean would be gone. There's rumors that he was going to Saudi Arabia. Or the French teams were in for him. I would imagine that would be what would happen in this instance here. Two players that are of similar age, but completely different profiles as well. So it'd be an interesting one. Like, do I know if it's going to happen? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Do I want it to happen? I'm of the opinion that if it is Unai's thought process to come in and change the tactics that we have, as opposed to going out and doing the obvious thing and splashing money on a centre half. I see names like Laporte. I see names like Harry Maguire in there. Maybe they're not players that are attainable. Maybe we don't have the cash for Aymeric Laporte or Harry Maguire. Maybe we have to make do with the back four that we have, or the four centre halves that we have at the moment. Maybe we bring in a free transfer. Maybe we bring in somebody like who's in a free transfer. Maybe bring in Johnny Evans. Maybe we bring him in for leadership. I'm not saying he's the start. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's the start. Maybe he comes in and fulfills that Ashley Young role. He's that fourth centre half we have. If shit hits the fan, he comes in. He's that right-sided or that left-sided centre half after Pau Torres. Then we've got Konza, Carlos, Callum Chambers. Might be the worst idea in the world. No, it's not the sexy signing everybody wants, but it'll be interesting to see what Unai Emery does and the brain trust does to try and replace Tyrone Mings. But this guy wouldn't be the obvious choice, and he wouldn't be a left-sided centre half whatsoever. Too small. Only 5'7.5", same height as myself. But it would be interesting nonetheless, and it would point to me that we might see a tactical change from that point of view from Unai Emery, and also it would point to me that Luca Dean might be out the gap towards Saudi Arabia or somewhere else. Going to come to some of your chats or your comments in there, guys. Where are we here? So Rachel says, hopefully we can reassess and start to build. Absolutely. I think there's if any of you work for a business, for a company, every single company has a contingency plan. Every single football club will have contingency plans, and it's bloody difficult to get your first plans across the board, across the line. Never mind your contingency plans. And to be honest with you, I would imagine they have a contingency plan for if Tyrone Mings goes down. Will they be able to enact it and get in the replacement? I don't know. Maybe they might have to go down to contingency plan C, D, E, or F. If we had, and I went back and I spoke about like some managers, if we had a Paul Lambert or Tactics Tim or Roberto Di Matteo, right now I would be in tears at how we're going to replace this. We would be hoping that we will be able to bring somebody in at this late notice, get him integrated into the team, and have him contribute within the season. But Unai Emery, and it's not blind faith in Unai Emery. It's just like, I'm a show me person. Like, show me what you can do, and like everybody, for my money, everybody should be like that. Everybody should be driven by, what have they done lately? What can they do, or what is the evidence that they can do something? And of all the managers that we can see in the Premier League at the moment, Unai Emery is one of them that's showing he can do things, showing that he can have a winning mentality, showing that he can coach his way out of a corner. And that's really, really interesting. It's really interesting as well. Tim Hurley says he was very, very impressed with him in the World Cup. Some derogatory, not from you, Tim, but there's some other derogatory language in there. I'm not going to be putting up there. Scott mentions here about Johnny Evans. And I don't think it's desperate times. Johnny Evans played Premier League football last year. I'm talking about in case of emergency break glass for Johnny Evans. But I'm looking for more somebody like I'm quite confident that Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa, and Diego Carlos will be fine this season. I just want a leader in the dressing room. I'm looking for somebody to be a leader. I said it. If you didn't watch my post match, one of the big things that the big reason that I was disappointed about a Tyrone Mings injury was he's a great person, but he's a great leader. That's what I'm looking to replace. I think Johnny Evans replaces that to a degree. Obviously, he's not going to be the same type of leader, and he wouldn't have the same aura that the Tyrone Mings would have, or the same relationships with people. But he's been there, he's done it at the highest level, and he's respected. So it's an interesting one. Marauder says, as Villa fans, we always complain when the opposition have that aggressive shithousery player that winds us up. It would be great to have one of our own. I don't even think this guy is. I don't even think he's a shithouse. I think we have that in another Argentinian in our team. Emery Martinez can't even smile sideways, and the fans of the opposing team will boo him. But I think this guy will just go through you and ask questions afterwards. Think more of Vinnie Jones, but not to that degree, but you know what I mean. He's just a hard nail. That's what you'd call him. That's what he'd be called in Ireland. He'd just be a hard nail. But he can play ball. Don't get me wrong. Did Carlos and Acuna play together? Asks Rachel. I don't know, and I didn't even think of that. So 2020, yes, they would have. So Acuna and Carlos would have played together at Sevilla. They would have. Where else are we? Philip Morgatroyd says another left back is bonkers. Get Maguire in. No messing. How many people believe that? How many people agree with that? I'm not saying it's wrong. I just don't think. I don't think there's any way we get involved in the bidding war for Maguire, and I don't think Maguire gets sold on the cheap, and I don't think Maguire gets let go on loan. That's just my view on it. And Lee Bruce says we already got two 30-year-old left backs. Yeah, we had a 38-year-old right back who everybody wanted to keep on for a second season, or for another season, should I say? 30-year-olds, 31, 32. I'm not sure it's as big a deal. If they can get the job done, they can get the job done. And this is coming from somebody who certainly can't get the job done. Be nice to have somebody younger, though. I agree with you. I agree. It would be nice to have somebody younger, but I do think that Dino would be shifted out if this guy comes in. Where else are we? Yeah, a lot of people talking about Laporta once again. I'm not 100% sure that we I can't see us spending 30-40 million on another centre half. Harry Maguire is going to cost 30 million. Laporta is going to cost 30-40 million. I just can't see us doing it, guys. I just cannot see us doing it. Would I like to sign Emerick Laporte? Yeah, would. Think he's a fine player. Just can't see us signing it. Just can't. We've already spent our two centre halves. Well, we will have a centre half on the bench. We will have one centre half on the bench that will have cost 30 million or above. Because I don't see Konsa being on the bench. And I don't know if we're going to buy another 40 million pound centre half at this late in the window. I just don't think the funds are there for it. I think the funds are allocated in other areas, and that's okay too. Maybe we get somebody in on loan. Maybe we can pull a rabbit out of a hat. Maybe we'll buy a young player that comes in. I don't know, but I genuinely at this moment in time I wanted to give it thought, and I wanted to do how do we replace Tyrone Mings. I was thinking of doing it. I won't do it tomorrow because I've got someone coming on tomorrow onto the podcast, and we'll probably have Paddy then on Wednesday to do his view of Newcastle. He might have I think he's been sitting in a bath of ice since Saturday to try and cool and calm down, but might get him on Wednesday then to chat about Newcastle for a while, and then on Thursday we will look forward then to the Everton game with our preview show. But I'll see when somewhere in between that period of time I will do how do Villa replace Tyrone Mings if they haven't replaced him already. That is by that stage. At that stage. Yeah. Where else are we? Yeah. Rachel says Luke Young was 37. Ashley Young turned 38 in July. So I know he was 37, but you're 37 until you turn 38. I love that Twitter meme thing. If you guys have ever seen it, about a guy trying to pretend somebody was 28 when he was or 29 when he was actually 28. If you haven't seen it, go look at it because it's absolutely hilarious. I got a good laugh off it every time I see it. Anyway, I am going to leave it at that, guys. A lot of negativity there, a lot of positivity as well from some people. That's absolutely fine. As I say, we're still on the grief curve after the weekend. All we can do is talk about what we're linked with. Some of you will like it, some of you won't. If Emery works a miracle, we'll all love it. But that's Marcus Acuna. Pop, as I say, I was going to say pop your comments in the box below, but you guys are already doing that. But I meant to say, if you do like what you see in the podcast, please give it a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribing to the podcast, please subscribe, and we'll be back probably every day this week with something, because we've got something lined up each evening this week, and I'm too delighted to chat to you guys. Thanks a million for your time, as always. Really appreciate it. And we'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.